Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlock Your Life Purpose Summit. So excited to be welcoming today's guest. His name is Mike Tomasello. He's an amazing guy. He was called the top career thought leader by the original shark, Kevin Harrington from TV's Shark Tank. He spent over 20 years living his life purpose, which coincidentally is very much involved with helping other people find and live their life purposes through their careers. He's the CEO of CareerSuccessSecrets.net. Everyone, welcome, Mike Tomasello. How are you doing today, Mike?
I am doing amazing. I'm super excited to be here. As you can probably imagine, passion and purpose, especially, is a very important part of who I am and what I do. So I'm excited to share that with your audience.
Awesome. Well, I am super excited to hear how it is that you found your way to doing what you do and living your purpose.
Yeah, I found my purpose in a little bit different way than most people. I was uh, I was convinced by my mother and raised by my mother that I could do anything that I wanted to in my life, and I know that not everybody.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know not everybody has that advantage. And the ironic thing is, I don't know that my mother or my father really knew their purpose.
hmm
But in a lot of ways, they instilled that in me, and so I dedicated my life basically in college to making a difference and having an impact on the world. Now, at first, I didn't realize that there was a purpose hidden in there
hmm
and a mission hidden in there. But through my work in nonprofits in my early 20s, I ended up working with a business consultant of all people who was working with our nonprofit to determine what our mission and purpose should be for the organization. And
Hmm.
I was like, whoa, this is so cool. What if I took this and I adapted this to my own life?
hmm
So I started using a lot of the methodology and principles that I was learning for mission and purpose oriented organizations and applying that to my own life. And so it started out, and I recommend a variation of this process today. There's a lot
hmm
of different ways to do it, but I started out with just 20 minutes a day about thinking about what I liked, what I didn't like, and my purpose and my mission started to take shape.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did they give kind of like little exercises for you to do, or how did you spend the 20 minutes a day doing that?
So back then there wasn't really exercises that were given out. So for
hmm
me, I sort of figured it out ad hoc, and then over time I realized, oh well, we really need to. Well, I really needed more of a formalized process, and so
hmm
for me, it started out with what am I passionate about,
Yeah.
which there can be some challenges for some people in terms of figuring that out. But for me, passion was a key component to it. Another component that I asked myself was, what can I be one of the best in the world at
Mm.
if I put time into it? Because I know there's a lot of people out there in the world, and maybe even some of your audience can relate to this, is that sometimes, due to limiting beliefs that we have stuck in our brains,
Yeah.
sometimes we say, oh, well, I can't be the greatest in the world at that or whatever. But so I say, well, what could you be really, really great at if
hmm
you devoted more of your time to it? Because we all can
Okay.
be great at something if we devote the time to it. Um, and then last but not least, I had a money component to it, which
hmm
I have since decided that, especially with the explosion of the internet over the years, that there's literally a way to to make a living and make money at whatever you want to do. Even if it's comic books and superheroes and sports or whatever, like there's a way to. So I actually eliminated that component for the formula,
Mm-hmm.
and primarily skill based and then passion based.
Wow. So you're saying kind of the old model was you had to look at what was passion based and skills, but also what's somebody willing to pay me to do.
Yeah,
And with the internet, that's no longer a factor.
it's
Because I'm
it is
sure
no longer.
somebody's teenage kids might be overlooking this. See, mom, someone will pay me to play Fortnite or Xbox all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a great example. There are now esports and
Hmm.
video games, and you can literally make millions of dollars playing video games. Um, there are people that have YouTube channels on how to apply makeup effectively, and they're making more money than a lot of people that have corporate careers.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different ways to do it, um, and and this is a big problem, I think, when it comes to finding one's purpose or passions,
Mhm.
is that um, most of us, or a large majority of the world, we have these limiting beliefs that society has put on us,
Oh, yeah.
that we can do. There are certain things that we can't make a living at. There are certain things that aren't good careers. And a huge, and this is something that we could probably explore for a while, a huge component of finding your purpose is knowing what stuff in your head is not really you, and what of that is
Ah.
coming from your parents, what of that is coming from your family, society, the people
Ooh.
you grew up with. If we don't separate that stuff
Mm-hmm.
from what we really want and what we really feel called to do, then we're not going to end up with the right purpose.
So is that something you work on with your clients?
It is, absolutely. A lot of what I do with clients is around finding out what the next best step is for them in
Okay.
terms of their career. I work with a lot of people that uh, don't want to be entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of people that want to be in a corporate career or a nonprofit career or a government
Mm-hmm.
career. And so, for a lot of people think they have to have their whole life figured out. Where are you going to be 10 or 20 years from now? And
Yeah.
I think that's very useful. And I encourage people to see as far out into the future as they possibly can as part of that process. And if, they can only see a little bit, a year out or 6 months out, that's totally fine too. Because if we can get them moving towards that next step that's going to
Mm-hmm.
move them, then they're going to be moving in the right direction, and
Yeah.
things will become more clear. One of my favorite quotes in the world was by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have
Oh,
to take the first step.
yeah.
So regardless of which purpose figure out formula that people choose
Mm-hmm.
one. Choose one that speaks to you, and you're going to end up in a much better place than you were before.
Yeah. I like that, not having to see the whole staircase. I can remember back when I was in corporate and, interviewing for certain jobs, and they're like, where do you see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? It's like so long. And, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you're talking about being like 25 years old. And then they're, at that time, and they're like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I'm like, I don't know. I hope I'm still alive. Right. Like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Like, you're asking like way too far ahead here. So,
And so
that
what
was always something that messed me up.
Yeah, so I try to make it easy on people, and I say, all right, well, you're not going to have the answer to all of these questions. You know,
Mhm.
which one can you see the most? Which one can you feel the most? And
Mhm.
give people permission to go with anything. I always say, hey, you can change your mind tomorrow, You can change
Mm-hmm.
your mind next week if this doesn't feel right to you. Well, the funny thing is, once you give people permission to, change their minds,
Ooh.
they're like, ooh. So they're a lot more likely to really speak with what's in their heart, because they're leaving to the side, what society and the mistake making thing. They tend to leave that more to the side.
Wow, that's a huge insight. The permission to change your mind.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I think that's so missing because I think people feel, especially young people, probably even people who are older like me in their 40s, feel like, well, if I commit to this, I'm like, I got to commit to it, right? There is no change in the mind. Like this is this is the wagon you're taking the whole way. And
and
so
I
I could
think,
see how that would relieve a lot of pressure.
yeah, and I'm so glad that you love that part of it, because I think for me that this is one of the most huge things that, if we give people permission to change their minds,
Mhm.
that they're going to be a lot more likely to choose a purpose or realize their purpose and run with it. Because the thing that a lot of people don't talk about when choosing their purpose is your purpose. There's a huge chance that it will evolve over time.
Mhm.
A huge chance that will evolve over time. So when I first came up with my purpose, it was actually dramatically different than what my purpose is today. So when I first started looking at it in my 20s, I had been exposed to other cultures outside of the United States for the first time. A lot of the nonprofit work that I was doing was international based. And I really found myself being drawn to people from Latin America,
Mhm.
and the warmness and the openness of that culture and whatever. And so I had decided, I think I was 22 years old. I decided I wasn't going to take a traditional job, and I was going to take something working in Latin America.
Wow.
So my purpose ended up being, because as a lot of people probably know about Latin America, Latin America, in spite of all its strengths, has a lot of struggles. There's a lot of poverty there. And so
Mhm.
I made it my life's mission to make a positive impact in Latin America. Since then, my mission and purpose has completely evolved and changed to where, as much as I love Latin America, I want to make a difference everywhere. I want to make a difference in the United States. So even no matter how good you are at this purpose thing,
Mhm.
it's probably going to change, and that's okay. And so give yourself permission to feel it out and go with what's speaking to you in the moment. You're still going to end up in the right destination.
Wow. That's pretty profound, especially for people like me. So my trouble was always as a young person that people say, "Well, pick what you're good at." What's your superpower? What are you good at? Well, if you're good at a whole lot of different things, it's like, okay, well, which one? Like, I know I can eliminate like playing music or any musical instruments because I suck at that.
uh,
Or like, choreographed dance or ballet, I suck at that. But like, I was good at math and good at writing and all these things. And so people say, well, just pick what you're good at. And I'm like, well, which one? And they're like, well, I don't know. Well.
yeah, I actually lean in a slightly different direction.
Mhm.
I default less towards what are you good at and more towards, what are you passionate about. Now, a lot of young people especially struggle with the passion question, because they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know that I'm really more passionate about one thing than another. um, so it's okay to change the question and say, well, what are you really excited about, or
Yeah.
what brings you the most joy? um, some people are less motivated by excitement and joy, and some people are more motivated by anger, or even sadness.
Yeah.
So, what is the thing out of all of the things that you're doing in your exercises or thought process or whatever, working with your coach, what's the thing that's giving you the strongest emotional reaction? And there's a huge chance that your purpose is built in that, because that's going to, that additional emotion creates energy, and the
Mm-hmm.
energy that you have, the easier it's going to be to do whatever it is you want to do in the world, or whatever it is you want to do in the community. um, which reminds me, a lot of people think that their purpose has to be this huge thing in the world. Well, maybe your purpose is in your community. Maybe your purpose is within your family or within your children.
Mm. Wow. So you've definitely have some very more expanded perspectives on that. And I like what you said about the emotion. What brings
Mm,
strong emotion? Because it could be something that's like really makes you angry. I'm
yeah,
so angry that this is the way this is in the world. And so your mission could be, your purpose could be to change that.
absolutely.
So it doesn't
Uh,
even have to be strong positive emotion. It could be strong negative emotion to turn that around. Or like you said, sadness. What is, oh, this thing just makes me so sad, just makes me cry.
yep.
Yeah. And
And
then that could be what it is.
yeah, in terms of the, in terms of the anger or frustration, hey, I am so upset about XYZ happening in the world. Like, this is my opportunity to change it. This is my opportunity to make it better, because, maybe no one else is, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe not enough people are. Um, you know, uh, I didn't, I had forgotten temporarily, but, when I realized that my mission had changed, um, I actually got extremely emotional. I actually, got to the point of tears. And that's when I knew
Mm-hmm.
that, my purpose had really changed, and my purpose was something new, because anything that can elicit that type of emotion, um, there's something really powerful there.
Wow. That's profound. That is profound.
Love it.
Now wonder you're called the top career thought leader, because I don't think that I've never heard it put that way with
Mm,
anyone, any career coaches, or certainly not at career day when I was back in high school in 93,
yeah.
94. So, I mean, that's powerful.
Thank you. And in terms, we talked earlier about giving people permission to make mistakes.
Mhm.
Um, and so, I also want to give, your audience, I want to give everyone that's listening permission to also realize that everything in your life might not come together at once. So
Mhm.
sometimes we choose or decide or feel the calling of our purpose. For everyone, it might sound a little bit different. And sometimes we think we need to change our career immediately in order to meet that purpose.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily true. There are lots of people that are happily meeting their purpose, that are, doing it at home in their families, and they have a different job that allows them to pay the bills and whatnot. And so, would I love everyone to find the ideal career and job for them, or business for them that aligns with their purpose? Sure, I
Mhm.
would. And for everyone, that's not necessarily going to happen right away. You don't have
Mhm.
to go out and quit your job in order to start working on your purpose.
Wow. So you're giving them, you say you definitely have permission to take it slow.
You have permission to
And
take it slow, experiment. Absolutely.
well, that's got to be a relief for a lot of people. I think people have kind of we have, I think it's in our society really, a do or die, or a now or never, or you're not really committed unless you just, like burn the forest down and like go for it. So I think that would be really comforting to hear for a lot of people.
Yeah. And, That's an excellent point in terms of, a phrase you will hear often, burn the forest, burn the boats. And I believe in that to a certain extent, but it's okay to spend time getting clarity in terms of what that looks like before you do that. Um,
Yeah.
because, you can put yourself in some really challenging situations if you haven't figured out how to make money from your purpose yet, and you're just like, oh, clear on my purpose, time to quit my job. Um, it's totally fine to stay in a job that pays you well, or stay in a job that you semi enjoy, if it gives you space
Hmm.
to move forward and experiment in your free time.
And so if someone was in a spot where, let's say, they didn't have any, their job, or, that was completely all consuming, would you recommend, maybe, taking steps to find something that's more in line with their purpose, versus saying, okay, let me just quit this job and, figure it out. Maybe instead they would say, okay, maybe you should look at a different job or something that aligns with your purpose, and then kind of test that out, and maybe you build a career, that way. Or maybe you start that way and you say, hey, I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah, that's such an important question, because I think there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I always like to ask myself and my clients the question, what's the next best step? What's
Mm-hmm.
the next best step? And what's a step, no matter how small, that's going to move me towards my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next best step, no matter how small, that's going to move me towards my purpose? Um, so, you talked about the person. Now, different situations call for different solutions. And so if someone is in a job where, they're working 60, 70 hours a week and they're miserable,
And they
well,
have no space. There is no free time.
yeah,
Yeah.
that person is either going to have to burn the boats
Mm-hmm.
and, switch to something completely different or start a business. But there also might be an intermediary step for them. It might be, all right, well, what's something that benefits from the skill set and experience that I have that isn't so time consuming?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is an organization or an industry, maybe an organization that is more mission purpose based than the one they're currently at, that is going to have me feeling like I'm living closer to my purpose, and it's going to free up some time of mine. So there's the step is going to be slightly different for everybody, and just being aware that all of those different options are out there. And some people are going to be in different financial situations than others. And so if you're in a situation where you've made some bad financial decisions in recent years, and you don't have as much money saved up, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I still need to take care of my family, I'm going to get a part-time job or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know successful multimillionaires that are living their purpose, that have had setbacks and gone and worked part-time retail jobs. So if it's moving you closer towards your purpose, forget about what other people are going to think of you, and think about what's going to make things easier for you to get to where you want to go.
Wow. And I think that's something that's really important for people to hear, that there are people out there who they would look at and go, oh, this person's super successful. They've made millions of dollars and they're living their purpose. But knowing that they started at a point where they had financial difficulties. And while they were working on this, they worked in retail, worked at jobs that someone might be worried, oh, somebody's going to look down on me for that. But that was the stepping stone that helped them get and have that success in their purpose.
Absolutely, you nailed it.
So that's fantastic. So I think, there's so many, we get to see all the glossy stuff on social media, and this person just started this YouTube channel and now they're a bazillionaire, or this person just got this genius idea one day and they, put a couple Facebook ads out there and they made like millions of dollars, and they don't, that's like the pretty side. A lot of people don't, aren't open about the struggles that got them there. So I think it's good that you share that with the
Absolutely.
audience. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Glad I could help.
Do you have any other words of wisdom you want to share?
Ooh, so many things. I'm trying to think if I could blend it down to one thing. That would be the beautiful thing about your online summit that people are experiencing is they're going to have a lot of options in terms of how they go about this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be tempting to sort of analyze and look at all the things. And my advice would be, just choose something and get started. If you want to choose multiple paths and exploration, awesome. Do that.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what's right for you. But fear and fear of getting it wrong, which I have already given all of you permission to get it
Mm-hmm.
wrong, because even if you get it, and maybe this is the point I want to leave people with, even if you do end up getting it wrong, which I don't think you're going to do, because the experts that you have assembled, the guidance that you, Lorna, are sharing, um, you know the expertise that's being shared during this summit is so amazing. They can't
Mm-hmm.
possibly make a wrong decision. But let's pretend that it was possible.
Yeah.
It's by making a mistake, you are going to be even more clear about what the right thing is for you. So, my purpose was around creating economic growth in Latin America,
Mm-hmm.
as someone who wasn't even fluent in Spanish.
I love that.
And I ended up in a really beautiful place where, now I realize my purpose on the planet is to empower others to lead the life and career of their dreams. And there's a lot of different ways that, I help people do that. So your mistakes will lead to your growth. Your mistakes will lead to your purpose as well. And you need to take action.
So really the only thing they can do wrong is to do nothing. As long as they do
Yes,
something and make some sort of step towards it, then there is no wrong.
absolutely. So true. I have found that in my own life, that, the only stuff that, I've come close to regretting, or, the only stuff that, I've been unhappy about is, the action that I didn't take. And so as long as they keep taking action, they're going to get to a really beautiful place.
Awesome. All right, everybody, you hear that? That's expert advice. Take action. Now, before Mike has to get off here with us, he has a wonderful gift that he wants to share with you that you will be able to take advantage of. There will be a button right below this video here that you're watching to click on to take advantage of Mike's free gift. So I'm going to let him tell you all about it.
Yeah, Lorna, I really wanted to do something special for your audience. So, I've created a free gift, especially for this online summit, and it's called Turn Passion and Purpose into Career Action. Turn
Ooh.
passion and purpose into career action. And so, so it is a abbreviated version of a process that I recommend with my clients to find their purpose. It's going to help you not only gain clarity around your purpose, but it's also going to have you start to understand what might need to change in your career, so that you end up figuring out what's that next best step for you.
Ooh, that sounds very valuable. That is so generous of you to offer that to our listeners. So y'all make sure that you take advantage of that, because that is, I wish I had that a few years ago when I started embarking on the path that got me out of my old career in sales into what I'm doing now. So that's very valuable. Make sure you grab that.
I wish I had that 20 years ago as well. So,
I wish I had that when I was graduating high
I had
school.
to figure it out myself the hard way.
All right, everyone, make sure you grab that because that's going to really help you out. And, you can share it with the younger people in your life too, that are even just trying to get started and figuring it out, or anyone that you know. So make sure you grab that. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us. Really enjoyed having you as a guest, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lorna. The gifts that you are giving your audience regarding unlocking their purpose is so important. I'm so grateful to you and for the difference that you're making in the lives of other people.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. Bye-bye.